The Upanishads or Vedanta, the end of the Vedas, are the scriptures that contain the essence of the Vedic philosophy. Upanishad literally means learning at the feet of, thus pointing to at the feet of a master. Thus was born the ancient guru system in Hindu society. In each of the Vedas, there are two main divisions. The Karma Kanda deals with the rituals and the Jnana Kanda deals with the knowledge or wisdom. The Upanishads are part of the Jnana Kanda. The Guru would lead his pupil, shishya, step by step to the stage whereby the pupil recognized the self or the divine in himself. This is indeed the avowed final destination of a human Hindu life. Discovering the divine or self within also implies elevating oneself to the highest spiritual status. This is, in reality, the sacred state of all virtuous conduct. The Upanishads are therefore considered a roadmap, complete with a guru guide to reach the highest peak of human development. The Upanishads truly heralded free thought in Hindu society. In the Upanishads, we also see the identification of the sages, the rishi, associated with each teaching program, a factor that was conspicuous by its absence in the Vedas. The major Upanishads, or the primary Upanishads, were formed along with the Vedas. These were compiled before the Buddhist era, around the 7th century BCE or earlier. The learned gurus of the Upanishads brought the important teachings to the forefront and downplayed the teachings that were less relevant to mankind. The teachings were properly explained with correct interpretations. The earlier Upanishads, Brahmacharya and Chandogya, relied strongly on the rituals used to interpret the spiritual knowledge. The latter Upanishads became more and more liberated from the rituals, however moving towards internal processes of meditation and personal religious experiences. It is more likely that some factions at this stage totally defied the orthodox Vedic supremacy and formed a separate group that advocated the prehistoric ancient philosophy of renunciation and meditation, naming it as the Sramana ideology, which ultimately gave birth to Jainism and Buddhism. External rituals were subordinated to internal spiritual practices called sadhanas. The rituals, however, did continue their influence and dominance in many different ways in the Hindu society. Even as the new religions and sects opposed and denounced the old rituals, they soon formed their own new rituals. Both the rituals and meditations have grown in hand in Hindu society side by side ever since. An individual may prefer one over the other to one's own aptitude and propensity. There is no serious antagonism in Hindu theology. Rather, there is complete freedom to pursue one's own path. Hindu thought continued to march with the passage of time. Newer Upanishads came into being in the post-Buddhist and post-Shankaracharya eras. A number of minor Upanishads were created to impart the spiritual teachings to posterity. Indeed, even the writings of modern holy men and women might be regarded as divine revelations, thus maintaining an evolutionary continuity of the Hindu tradition. More than 200 Upanishads are in writing. Among the 108 Upanishads available, the most important ones are Mundaka, Isha, Kena, Katha, Aitreya, Taittiriya, Chandogya, Prashana, Shivatasravara, and Brihadaranyaka. The Vedas taught worship of the gods of nature, such as the sun, sky, wind, and fire. The Upanishads emphasize that behind the facade of these many gods, there is but one supreme God. In fact, the concept of one universal God was also originally expressed in the Rig Veda itself. Ekam Sad Vipra Bhavati Vedanti. One alone exists. Sages call it by various names. In the Upanishads, this ancient philosophical thought came to the forefront, overshadowing the idea of multiple gods who were considered simply as the manifestations of the transcendental supreme divine. Modern world has adopted this concept of God more vigorously, especially in the face of the many religions and sects around the world. It is interesting to note that the Supreme Court of the United States recommended the use of the term Supreme Being in place of God in the Constitution of the United States after hearing the plea in which the above quotation of the Rig Veda was presented. Some of the most important hymns of the spiritual knowledge are reproduced. From the Chandogya Upanishad, speech, eyes, ears, limbs, life are in union with the spirit. Thus, we see how the sages created the union between body and soul. Soul and body work together. Condemnation of the body and the senses is not the right attitude. Putting the body to proper and good use is the right way. From the Isha Upanishad, everything belongs to the Supreme Self. Self is the Supreme. It is everywhere and all powerful. It gives us the breath to breathe, to live. We may claim nothing as our own. A wise man sees unity in all. Spiritual knowledge comes from austerity, self-control, and meditation. The Vedic gods of nature are not disowned, but they are certainly subordinated. The subtle, formless, transcendental, spiritual God was conceived already in the Vedas, but now in the Upanishads, this concept is heightened and forcefully presented. God is everywhere in all beings, and so too within his own self. The concept of transcendental, formless God also points to the universal aspect of the divine. Same God is present everywhere and in everyone. The realization of oneness with all beings at once sowed the seeds of love and adoration with each other. In the Mundaka Upanishads, we learn that knowledge is of two types. Lower knowledge, apara-vidya, which deals with the secular knowledge of grammar, science, rituals, astrology, etc. And the higher knowledge, para-vidya, which deals with divine or spiritual knowledge. Indeed, the para-vidya is more concerned with the inner spiritual transformation of man than with only the book knowledge, which is also considered to be the apara or the lower knowledge. As the flowing rivers disappear into the ocean, leaving their names and forms, so the wise man, freed from name and form, attains the highest, the eternal Param Purusha. Swami Paramananda, one of the pioneer gurus of Hindu philosophy in the West, writes, in the Vedas we find a clear distinction between what man calls his own self, the Jiva Atma, and the divine ourself, the Paramatma. The search for God is man's eternal quest. Every person must do this for himself. The method of this individual search can be traced to the Upanishads' teaching. It is not so much of the learning of the divine which is important, it is living like the divine that is essential in this pursuit. The Upanishads heralded the true learning of the religion. The practice of Guru Shishya, teacher-student, originated in Hindu theology and has continued over millennia. Free discussions and question-answer tradition was set in motion. Students were encouraged to confront their teachers with the most arduous and grueling questions till all their doubts were answered with agreeable explanations and interpretations. This system truly laid the foundation for rational teaching.